It's time for Pure Performance.
Get your stopwatches ready. It's time for Pure Performance with Andy Grabner and Brian Wilson. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pure Performance. My name is Brian Wilson, and as always, I have with me my co-host, Andy Grabner. And, you know, I just said, Andy, welcome to another episode of Pure Performance, but I really don't think we should consider this just another episode, right? As of our last episode, we completed our 200th. So now this is the first of the next 200, maybe 3,000. Who knows? Maybe we'll be doing this from our sick beds as we get old and we're dying and we're in whatever. But 201 episodes, and we couldn't have done it without our special guest today. But before he pipes up, which I know he's dying to because he loves talking, and Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm good, but I think I keep myself short because you did an awesome introduction. But you were right. It's amazing to see how long we've been doing this. 6 years, 7 years?
Was it 2015, I think we started? Or
28 8 years.
I think so.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, right?
Yeah. And it started because somebody said, well, just do it. Why don't you just start a podcast?
All the kids listen to podcasts. And I was like, what are those? Because I wasn't a kid. And I'm like, people listen to podcasts? What?
What
is this, AM radio? Dynamis in the morning? And he's cracking up there. Yeah, no, yeah. It was this guy who you and I fortunately met earlier in our careers, which, you know, I don't know what that says about his age at this point, but yeah, I'm just trying to rile him up. Yeah, he just turned to us and said, do it. And we did it.
And with this, we lift the curtain and welcome Mark Tomlinson to the show. Hello, Mark.
I'm the old man on the microphone. Congratulations to both of you on 200 episodes. You haven't killed each other yet.
Because
we're in different countries. Yeah,
exactly.
There's ways. I mean, we're all in technology. We know you could digitally annihilate each other.
Right, but we only interact with each other during these podcast recordings, so it's right. Limited engagements. I'm sure I would annoy the hell out of Andy if we did more.
But it would be interesting in how many podcasting recording tools we actually went through over the years, because we obviously killed a couple of those.
Yeah, I can think of
Skype.
Yeah, but I can think of no other more boring topic than that. Like that's like an artist talking about art instead of just shut up and paint. So we should just shut up and podcast, right?
Is he taking over the conversation now?
I am.
Well, he is the podmaster.
That is
pods, and look, it's pods. It never dawned on me. So we're deploying a pod master.
Yeah, we're an individual instance of a pod, and as elastic as you are, you're now 3 nodes within the pod of this podcast. Well, actually, it was Brian, you and I think we were in Denver. We went and hung out, and we were talking about audio engineering and doing some musical stuff. And I'm like, hey, consider launching a podcast, and it just to like for no other reason to like get back into. I'm doing something with the audio side, the creative side of my brain. And I think that was good because you guys have done tremendous work. So congratulations to both of you and to another 200 episodes. And maybe you'll have me on at 300 or 301. So like it's like every 100, I'll be another century old by then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
I'm already 200 years old. But that would be good.
Wasn't that a movie, The 200-Year-Old Man or something like that? I don't know.
That's me. They based that on me. I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, Mark, over the years, and coming back to actually talking about performance, DevOps, platform engineering, AI, observability, over the years, you have inspired a lot of us, Brian, myself included, and many of the listeners and the people that you've come across at different conferences with stuff that you've learned over the years. And I know Perform is coming up. I think by the time this airs, we should be probably about beginning Perform 2024. And over the last years, not only at Perform, but in general in the industry, we talked about automation.
Yes.
I think, though, and maybe correct me if you see this in a different way, is that the level of automation is still kind of not there where we as an industry want it to be. And I was just, first of all, confirming, do you see this as well? And then the second thing is there anything on the horizon where you think this will change? Does it need more education? Does it need better tools? What does it need?
You guys are familiar with the If This Then That, the IFTTT app, which have recipes, right? So there's all sorts of well-proven or well-trodden recipes, and some of them are authored through open source repos. So here's the rules and the configuration of a job or a configuration of a step of some kind. And so we probably have more of those if you have an enterprise implementation of Rundeck, or we just last year in Perform, we announced the workflows, so you could build workflows within Dynatrace, and we're already exploiting that. I think the thing you run into is which recipe. Like there are 400 recipes for tacos, but which one do I like the best? Which one tastes the best? Do I have the ingredients already? So there's a lot of pre-automation design to know what you need to automate. You can't just jump into the job. Well, here's a Rundeck job. I'll just copy and paste and woohoo. Then you find out it's been, sending credit card numbers to Russia. Nothing wrong with, if that's your business, that's fine. But we don't allow that at Freedom Pay. Anyway, you get what I mean? So there's a lot of experience that goes into automation. That is, what do I want the outcome to be of this job? And then the minute you start asking questions during the design of some automation, you usually run into answers or more questions where people are like, well, hey, wait a minute. I know we usually do step 1, 2, 3, 4, standard operating procedure, and I can automate that. Before we were talking, Brian, you mentioned, I think Wilson Moore or somebody had mentioned, what is something I just keep doing every day and I'm just bored? It's the same 4 steps. I'm definitely going to automate that. And so maybe, Andy, we've gotten through a lot of that, but they were the least risky, the most mundane. I'm just tired of doing it. I don't want to pay a human being to do this. That's easy. It's the if this, then that. If it's 5 p.m., turn the lights on. Like there's no huge risk in our lives to that. But if I'm automating something that says, when I see this condition and this condition and that condition, then try step 1, then step 2, then step 3. So now you've got a very complex set of logic around an automation. And that's where I think the AI stuff does a better job of informing the automation as it's running. So you actually have a smart automation, if you will. And this is some of the stuff you could do even within like the Dynatrace workflows that we're working on. Is like the workflow or automation is only as good as the data you can push into it. But yeah, I think I think people are overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So education is probably key in taking us in the next step there. That's my future. That's the great Sarnak, right? With the envelope on my head. Just Johnny Carson reference.
Johnny Carson. and by the way, smart automation, coining a new term, smartimation.
Smartimation.
I think you hit on something really important there too, Mark, because when you talk about all these canned automations, right, the ones that are out there, and can I trust them? And let's say even you have components out there that might help you, right? We know that tech people are naturally curious, right? We have Kubernetes because people are really curious. And somebody said, I want to start building this insane thing because it'll help. And I want the challenge of being able to do it, right? That's what drives this industry is those challenges. So I think one of the additional roadblocks to that, not only is there, the more you think of it, the more questions you have and the more that comes up, it's when I start looking at what's available, trying to figure out what I might be able to use, it's just going to be easier if I code it myself, start from scratch myself. Then that puts you behind the timeline of, okay, when am I going to get the time to get all that done?
Yeah.
Because I still have my regular job to do, but now I need to do this thing from scratch because I can't trust any of that. It's going to take me just as long to figure out if it is sending the credit cards to Russia or whatever, right? So it does get complicated. And I think to your point, right? We were talking earlier, this is where potentially, and I guess we'll dive into this part of the topic now since I'm going there.
Yeah.
So I'm taking control of this one.
Just go.
This is where AI could potentially help, right? How do you get started, right? If I need to code this stuff, is AI at the place yet where it can give you good base code to start with? So you just have to go back in and tweak and fine tune it so that it gets you what you need. And then Andy, you brought up the point pre-show as well, is if AI gets us to the point where it's helping us create these things, once you create, maintenance is the next big hassle. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we've seen AI maintenance yet. I know that would be a really sexy thing people would love to work on. Oh, maintenance AI. Woo! Right. But I think those are some of the challenges. And I don't know what we're seeing there, if there's anything on the horizons for that. What is the state of AI writing code for you? How complicated is it to go back in and figure out what it did to see if it is doing it well, if it's doing it safely? I don't know what the state of that is at this point.
I mean, my point on this, because I'm not sure if you guys have played around with CoPilot and others that generate code. I think they're doing a pretty good job already. And if code comes out that you can run and it does what you want it to do, then my question actually, why do we need a tool like CoPilot to generate code? Why can't I just tell a tool like CoPilot or whatever the AI is called, do X, Y, Z, and you run it? Because why do I need the intermediary step of code that gets executed by runtime? Why can't I just say, please do this task or alert me if condition 1, 2, and 3 are abnormal, then do X, Y, Z, and then the AI should just continuously validate if that still works. And then maybe based on the latest learnings, based on new material that is available in Stack Overflow or in some other source of truth, it just automates or it just optimizes whatever code it does in the background. So my question is, will we get to a point where we just ask the AI, please do this if this happens? And this can be very complex expressions without actually generating code, because why do we need the intermediary step of code?
I don't know what you got. My experience with CoPilot is like it saves me time searching for somebody else who already solved a problem. So it's like, hey, I need to do X. And it's like, let me shortcut. There's 400,000 other people who already wrote that code. Let me give you the best one. Try that. And that's a different, to me, that's not really artificial intelligence. That's just like super fast. Ask Jeeves, like, give me some samples. But you bring up so many things there, both of you, that get after how does AI know whether it's meeting your needs or not? Like, how do you're telling the AI, I want you to do this outcome, and here's what the outcome looks like, here's whatever, and you're kind of like a subcontractor, like, I don't care how you get it done, but I need this to happen when X, Y, and Z, and also tell me every 5 minutes that you are correctly still doing that, and detect changes in the subordinate systems if something compromises the logic that you wrote, and adapt automatically. Suddenly it's this, when you start talking about validation, when you start talking about checking the AI outcomes and then telling it to self-adapt to change, now that's like way beyond pattern matching. Like, pattern recognition is amazing from an AI machine learning standpoint. This is what it's built to do. But take an unsupervised model and tell it to go figure out a way to do that. That's where we end up with, computers inventing their own language and getting things done that you didn't even know. And then, of course, I think the other point is, how much do I need to think? Because a real thing I see people selling around CoPilot or AI is like, it'll save you time because time is thinking. To me, it takes time to think through something really thoroughly. If it's worth doing that thinking, sure, AI can save you the time, but then you start saying, well, did I tell the AI this and how to validate it? How, like you said, how to keep it running? How often do I want to check it? Like, that's where I'm saying the journey of designing an auto remediation, or the journey of designing a component to be solved, will reveal more about the gaps in your thinking and the whole process that's worth doing. If you just say, I don't care, and then you're like, oh, well, this is a really inefficient piece of code, given like the carbon footprint kind of mapping from sustainable engineering, or this uses source code and sources that were for, sub-Saharan Africa people that are starving to death. And it's like, well, do I really want to have my code come and support that way of existing on the planet? That's also not sustainable, right? So I think there's a lot to be said, a lot of other questions that have nothing to do with getting your job done. Even just, I need to auto-remediate this with automation in a job. Here's all this other stuff I want the AI. There's no room in CoPilot to start describing the greater context of what it takes to stay in business. And I think that's the other thing. You've got engineers that are like, I technically understand what needs to be done, but the businesses morph and change, and what they need and how they grow are a totally different context from a customer perspective. And you're telling AI what you know right now. And it's like, oh, by the way, when customers start asking for this other thing, completely rewrite yourself and do this. And I think that's still a human brain. I think we're still going to have a human brain doing that work.
Unless that's years down the road, right? I mean, part of what you said is key, right? We know AI has to learn from somewhere. It has to be trained. It has to have the inputs.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the automations that exist already to input to it to show it the examples of what's good, what's efficient, how's it going to know what's good, what's efficient? I mean, I think a lot of the points you brought up about carbon footprint are all good and all, but even at one point you said, I don't care how you get it done. But as soon as you said that, I was like, well, yeah, that's what performance is all about, is caring how you get it done. Are you getting it done with terribly inefficient code?
Right.
That's going to be running like a dog and needing a lot of compute to run because it's just crap code. So how are we verifying that code is good, right? So obviously, not to get into our own tool or something, but if you had AI doing that, you'd also need the feedback loop of performance metrics and all that so it could self-measure itself. Then you'd have to be able to feed in all this other stuff about where is it running, how it's running, how much energy is it consuming. So I think a lot of it can get there. What I see is that we're at these infant stages of capabilities of AI.
Yeah.
Our imaginations and our creativity are seeing these places where it can go and these things that we can do. And we're like, great, we know what we wanted to do. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But it's not all there yet. All the integrations aren't there. There's a lot of work to get done to get there.
You brought up something that sparked for me, and don't mean to interrupt you, but no, I wonder if there's an advantage to, we see a lot of big businesses, medium and large businesses that are like in the infancy of adopting things like CoPilot or machine learning, or starting to do feedback loops based on analyzing their own data and driving that back into some logic. And it's like we have a non-AI business adopting the first steps of AI. And then it's like there's a totally separate segment of small, very fast-moving companies that are 100% AI built, meaning all the code they write, the business, they're marketing, the copy, they're building a website, deployment. Like, I wonder if we're going to see like an advantage to, we never did it the old way. We only use AI-created products, digital products, content, code, whatever it is 100% AI-driven business or some coefficient. I wonder if there'll be a difference there where we've never done it the old way, so we don't even have an appreciation or a care, or we don't even need all those old ways of doing it. AI is the way we do it now. I wonder if there'll be a prediction of separate 100% AI-driven companies. That's the way they roll.
Yeah, it's like the same kind of evolutionary step that happened with other businesses, right? That have been driven out of business because they were stuck in the old legacy world. Like thinking about our famous example, Blockbuster, and then Netflix came along with like streaming services, right? And right.
Right. Or rental car companies, and then suddenly you've got taxis and Ubers and all this other way of doing temporary storage.
No.
Yeah.
The other aspect to that, though, is, I think this is a fascinating idea. Like, you'd have these two schools. So there's this one of the evolution, right, of taking the old way and slowly evolving. The other is the leap to the new, right? Now, if you do the leap to the new, right, instead of focusing on the traditional improvements and components that you have to look at from the old point of view because you're stuck in that old model,
Yeah.
What does that new model bring to the table in terms of analyzing efficiencies and all that kind of stuff? Because maybe that jump would be required to find the ways to get all this stuff done. Because if you're still stuck in the old way, you're tethered and being held down by the old things you had to care about, right? If you just in the new, you don't have any of that burden. I'm sure a lot of them, I'm sure we'll still see the N+1 problem, right? A lot of this stuff's going to translate, but you're now in a completely new paradigm. And that's going to require a new paradigm of feedback, observability, like all this other kind of stuff, which would potentially make that leapfrog into the next area. I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought.
Brian, there's something else in the evolution of like performance testing, performance engineering that Andy was talking about that you and I both, well, all three of us, but you and I both met as practitioner performance, like we are hands-on doing the deed. And I think there's something to finally pulling technical risk up and out, and really like, if you're that new company that did 100% AI and you're starting to be like, let's instrument this so we can see whether it's efficient, see where the bottlenecks are. Does it know how to remediate itself? Oh, this is a bad query. Let me go CoPilot myself. Like the AI CoPilot's its own CoPilot. So which one is the pilot and which one's a CoPilot to go get a better query to query the thing. And then it's like, you know what? This whole RDBMS sucks. Let's just go to this other one and port all the code. And I just did that. Like AI just did that automatically for me because I don't like that cloud provider and that data service. So I'm going to use a different data service. Like that's an impossible idea for even a performance engineer to say, I have to recommend to the business that we not use MySQL and I want to move us into a NoSQL type of database. That's a huge leap. And to imagine that AI would make that decision for risk-wise, for you and me and our business we're running, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, AI. You're taking all of our data that our entire business is built on, all of our customers' data, and you're going to like throw it over there in a new thing and woohoo. Like we don't take those risks as people. I think a risk mindset is still going to undermine a full trust of AI doing that by itself in an autonomous kind of way. I think risk is more important to testing performance, quality generally. I think risk is still huge in the mindset. Like if I don't communicate performance problems as risk to the business or risk to the technology, then I'm probably not doing my job. I'm not qualifying that properly.
Well, this is where the Asimov 3 rules of robotics come in, right? Where you have to have, I forget what they are, but like it can't harm the humans. Like you'd have to have those paradigms. Anything that you're going to do is not going to impact X, Y, or Z, right? Which is, I don't know if you're not familiar, the iRobot stuff is great short stories. But I think the other big thing is...
What were the other two, by the way?
Well, one is that it can't harm humans. It can't do anything to harm itself. And those two sometimes can be at conflict with each other. I think it can only harm itself if it's going to prevent harming humans or something like that. I forget them all. You can, there's this thing called the internet. People can look them up on.
Right. And the third one is like the vinegar-based barbecue in the Carolinas is not actually barbecue. It's not. It's only Kansas City red sauce. Like that's the third one. Yeah. I think that's the third rule.
I did want to get this other idea out here because I think this is a really, really important one, right? And I've seen the same thing with gene therapy and all this, right? I think in order for this to work, if we're talking about these models that are going to work, I think the human factor is going to be the biggest blocker, and by the human factor I mean proprietariness, right? So,
sure.
Let's take this back. We'll take this to someplace you and I know, Mark, right? Plugins for audio engineering. There's a lot of these AI ones coming out now, right? And some of the licenses for them are saying, we want to gather the AI stuff that you're using so that we can use that to better train our model, right? Now, if we don't allow these companies to get that, they're not going to be able to better train their model, and we're going to have crappier tools. Yeah. If we go to the human genome projects, right? Like my daughter has a rare disease, and they map and understand some problems with genes. But then as they dig further, it gets more and more complicated. And people are like, well, if we can figure out what's abnormal, we can figure out what's normal and vice versa. But the only way you could really do that would be for a super majority of the human population to be sharing their genes and all conditions about themselves, skin thing, like, right, which becomes this huge privacy thing that nobody wants to do. But in that way, you'd be able to get an accurate map. Now, when we come to this AI stuff and what's good code, what's good ways of doing it, what's good results, that would require, again, all the companies that are using it to feed back into the AI to let it do that component. Yeah. And that then becomes, is Freedom Pay highly secure, highly delicate data information and all this going to be feeding this information back into those models and being assured that it's not going to be used by someone else? If we develop this thing, well, now, it's ours and we don't want someone else to get the advantage we have. So that's where I think a lot of this is going to require the same spirit we have in open source, and a lot of these open source projects that people are doing where they're sharing information. This is going to require companies, not just the workers, to share the feedback loops and all the information they're learning from the AI to the AI tool sets so that they can improve.
Yeah. Aside from, I've talked to follow several people in the test AI side of things. Jason Arbin's one of them, who I followed for years. And he talks about this feature data dilemma. So in machine learning, you have feature data. It's like the source data that you talk about. So if you're going to build fictitious characters, are they based on real performances that are actually owned and copyrighted by, like, the SAG-AFTRA stuff? Like the source material or the feature data to your machine learning, that's a feature data dilemma of, is the AI truly a derivative work? And do you have permission to do that? Take this in-house to a company with compliance where our legal contracts are set up where, Brian, when you swipe your credit card, it's going to fly through our system, and that's marvelous. But we are trusted to own that data on your behalf in a very closed, secure way. In fact, by design, we don't want a merchant to know what your credit card number was. Like, they don't want to know. They're like, I just need to know that I made $25. Just give me $25. I don't care who you are. By design, for security. But that's why there could be something around this. Again, I'm not like an AI guru guy, but I do see how we're looking to use the data that we can capture with a tool like Dynatrace or any tool that can profile and see the trace information, all the actual data elements that are interesting feature data. Which ones can we recognize a pattern and feed that pattern back in for the betterment of our security, the betterment of performance, the betterment of our business, or mitigating business risk where we see anomalies happening within that data flow. And I think, again, that gets back to risk. I keep hearing risk in the back of my brain when you talk about that stuff. And Kansas City barbecue sauce is still actual barbecue, whereas that Carolina stuff is not. If I build a robot and it moves to North Carolina and starts eating the vinegary kind of mustardy kind of, that's not my robot. I'm done.
It's interesting how we easily spend 30 minutes in just talking about automation and AI and kind of like the whole thing with that, it's the risk and the trust that we still need to build up. But different topic maybe quickly before we kind of have to close at some point. Mark, Perform is coming up. 2024 just started.
Yes.
And besides automation, what are some of the other topics that you are looking forward to or that are on the top of your list for Perform for 2024 in your organization, the stuff that you see in the communities that you're interacting with?
The most exciting thing is that I might get another pair of Converse All-Star shoes. I don't know if they're doing that again, but I still have my old ones. I don't know if I'll get new ones, but do I have to get on main stage to get them? I don't know.
I think you do.
I do. Well, that's too bad. So I have a couple breakout sessions, actually. So our good friend Klaus and I were talking from leaving last year about business events in a very interesting way. So I'm going to be giving a talk on business analytics, or I call them risk analytics, but business analytics leveraging business events. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a teaching tutorial. It's not just a showcase, hey, here's how we do. You know me, I'm going to try to impart something that somebody can take back to their own company. Be like, hey, I could configure this. So how do you identify what is risk to a technical component, function, transaction, query, whatever it is? what is the risk to the business? What is the risk technically? And how do I monitor that? How do I pull those events out? And then how do I do two things with them? One, how do I make them observable, visible, and actionable? Those are three things, but in one category. And then the other part gets into either simplistic AI pattern matching or just some predictive capabilities. So we see this type of anomalous traffic come through 5 times a day. It's always on the hour. So it's like somebody's running a job. So you learn these ways of why is this happening, kinds of things. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll have some demos from my own test environment around business events. And this is business events on Grail. So there's some cool DQL-driven visualizations for the analytics, because I think it's in the customer software side of that story. So I'm so excited about that. Mostly it's been fun to work with Klaus because he's such a funny guy, but he's brilliant. And the other one, we are lucky enough as a Dynatrace customer at FreedomPay we're a .NET shop. And guys, .NET is still just, sometimes it's just a little redheaded stepchild out there. And Azure people still want us to just use open telemetry and cross our fingers and just trust the cloud. Just trust the cloud. Azure will take care of everything. They never have any outages. And we learned that that's not true. So getting onto Grail, getting into some of the things working with Dynatrace R&D. We have some early adopter stuff. I probably can't talk about it if this is going to not be announced at the time of the whatever on the podcast. So I'm not going to say what it is, but look for another session later. It's been great with Andy, one of the old guys you mentioned, Christoph Neumiller. Yeah, he's really, I'm so impressed. He's such a sharp guy. He's almost as smart as you. But
he's better looking.
He's better looking in some ways. Yeah, that's true. But it's been really fun to work so closely again with Dynatrace R&D on something that we can give them feedback. We can give them ideas. I think we generate more RFEs. Like in the last 6 months, we just keep hammering them. Now we just go talk directly to our guys. So that's fun. So those two are there. And then Henrik and I are going to be doing some more live streaming. So the Is It Observable booth, where there would normally be a pure performance podcasting booth, fellas, we're going to, maybe I'll find a way to simulcast again. We could do Is It Observable and pure performance at the same time. I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, I'm turning 50 this month. I'll be in New York eating.
It'll be your birthday, right? That same as every week.
Hey, I spent a few birthdays with you all already at Perform, but this is my 50th, so I'm going to spend that one with my wife in New York City and eat my face off and, instead of busting my ass in Vegas.
Yeah. So instead of sneaking back over to, what was the other place we were at?
Orlando.
Not Orlando, no, the other conference. Well, because we're in the Aria this time, right?
You mean the Cosmopolitan?
The Cosmopolitan, it had the secret pizza? The New York slice. Yeah. So you'll be in actual New York having an actual slice of pizza, and I'll have to still sneak over there and violate all my nutrition goals with that. But yeah, so I'm Andy, I'm excited. I'm also, I will say on behalf of my company, we've enjoyed working really closely with Dynatrace. We're a D1P customer. I have I think 4 different customer meetings of people that I'm talking with through the account management with James and Tim. And so I'm really excited mostly just to get back out talking to customers about what they're doing. And I'm bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5, 6 people from FreedomPay are coming. Maybe I have a couple more. So I have a whole crew coming to the executive briefing stuff, as well as they're just going to eat it up. I have my DevOps team. I got a systems team. I got some developers coming. So we're just making the most of getting into Dynatrace really heavy. So it's been good.
Cool. Well, great to hear that the partnership, has obviously been going that well. And the friendship that the three of us has built over the years has also kind of moved over to the business
side. I don't know that the three of us have really financially benefited. Like we haven't figured out a way to sort of surreptitiously kind of pass money under the table to one. We're maybe we're failing in that perspective. I tell you what, I will write in CoPilot AI. How do I embezzle money from my own company, send it to your company, launder it through Brian's company? And then I don't care how it gets done. It was just AI. I don't know. It was AI wrote that.
AI wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the way I look at it, right? Is that we're getting paid to do this podcast. So that in a way is embezzling, because this is so beneficial for Andy and I. We selfishly continue doing this because of what we learn.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course we care about our listeners, every single one of you.
Yes.
And we're hoping you're all learning from it. But like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm recording a podcast today at work, so, and then, I get to go mix it. Hey, I'm getting paid for this. So it's great.
Getting paid, which is rare, very rare in the podcast broadcasting world, for sure.
Yeah, not something special, but it's just part of my workday, right? We're not getting paid anything specific for this, but obviously it's just part of my workday.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do this at night, like when I was doing Ask Perf Bites at 10 o'clock at night Eastern for you all. So
yeah, that's the one thing that maybe AI has solved. All the automation, you think about Dynatrace, so like, oh, like you guys said, what a lovely dashboard. You know how much stuff is going on behind the scenes that's been automated about how you do this work? I rarely am awake in the middle of the night like I used to be. I used to be like nonstop running load tests, doing something, fixing things. Like that was my career, was like I was working like double time. And I kind of, maybe it was the pandemic or something, but like I don't do that anymore. So maybe that's just seniority or senioritis, senior brain. But yeah, so maybe AI, if there's one thing AI can do, it's I don't have to stay up at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, there's one thing I want to circle back to automation with one quick topic, because when you talked about business events, you mentioned one thing, and you said you're looking at kind of business events, you are finding certain patterns, like that every hour something is happening. You also used the word prediction.
Yeah.
And I'm actually wondering, because one of the things that we are, assuming what's going to happen is that we're going from reactive automation to predictive automation, meaning we're not triggering automation based on something is happening now, but because the AI predicts it is going to happen based on the data, based on the evidence in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And therefore, we can do something now to prevent it. And I always like to bring the analogy of Minority Report. It's kind of like
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, that's because for me, it's the same thing with SLOs and error budget burn down rates. Because if you see that the error budget is burning down too fast, you can react now before you burn through all the error budget. But we are extending this now with all the prediction capabilities in Dynatrace, or in maybe in other AIs as well, where we say, hey, something is about to happen. Yeah. I give you the chance to act now. Do you see this as a valuable use case, or do you think this is also too far out?
I don't know the proper mathematical terms for predictive algorithms, where I think there's something like within the seasonality of a given metric, you can use, like, I think it's Holtz-Winters is one of the, based on the seasonality, you can predict its growth or predict its decline. Whereas a machine learning would be like, here are the majority of the patterns, and here's something based on multiple, it's not a single metric, it's like multiple metrics, a complex set of features that could say this one is anomalous for this period of time because one of these 8 things is anomalous. So take, for instance, I've got thousands of transactions, different types of credit cards from different types of stores and different types of terminals and different setups around the world, different geographies. And then they all get different response codes going to different processors through different networks. So I've got multiple features at play, but on the hour for 1 minute every hour, there's a set of response codes that show up. The real question for AI is, what other features or what other elements or attributes within that time frame correlate? So when I use the word correlate, Brian breaks out in shivers. And Andy goes back to Silk Performer, where we had to correlate everything manually and it was horrible. But correlation is something that AI does incredibly good, or I'll say machine learning from a pattern recognition standpoint. So the ability to correlate, well, here's the response codes, but what other things within that feature data are also showing an increase or decrease or inverse or correlative, inverse correlation to that same time frame. So that's where I think the prediction is not, we know this is going to happen every hour, but we can start predicting, the failed transactions or the failed response codes are really specific to this network segment from the client side. Maybe it's on the internet, but it's like, hey, we can see internet routes like anyone else. That route is bad. And so you can go to your customer and call them up before they even know they have a problem and be like, hey, those stores, can you move them off of that provider and move them to another provider? Because you're having like failed transactions for no reason. And so that I think is more like fraud detection or more like anomaly detection. And then being able to predict it, meaning if you start seeing an uptick in these three features correlate at the same time, then you now have the history from that to say, when those three things happen at the same time, that's an indication of this packet anomaly or this business data anomaly or a hacker or fraudulent type of activity. Yeah, totally. And that's my friend Cliff. You met Cliff last year at Perform. Cliff is actually working on that as we speak. So that's his whole world. He's the Dr. Cliff. Dr. Clifford Benedict. I have to call him Doctor. I'm the only one who's not a doctor anymore. You can call me doctor. You could call me doctor. Doctor.
Yeah.
Nurse. Doctor. Me, doctor? Classic old Monty Python skit.
Ophthalmologist. Yeah. Cool. Now, because this is also a topic that we're using internally in a different way. We are predicting when we are running out of resources, and then we're scaling our infrastructure ahead of time instead of triggering it on a threshold. So the example that we presented at Innovate, and I think we're going a little bit deeper this year at Perform, is really how we right scale our cloud infrastructure. And with right scaling is both directions, up and down. I think one of the use cases is how we are scaling Apache Kafka based on load predictions.
Has anyone sort of really dawned on them that Grail and scale, they rhyme? So
if you're going to write a song, right there you have two lines.
Exactly.
Andy, that's a fascinating idea too. What I want to warn everybody about, though, in upscaling, right? Predictive upscaling is, if you're upscaling, please make sure you're still look at why you need those additional resources and see if you can optimize your code. Because I think just like we've seen, the money, just like we've seen, just even in cloud adoption, it's like, I'll just spin up another, right? And even the right sizing and all that, right? So you still have to, or you still should, not just be like, we can automatically upscale. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But take the time to look in. Again, it always comes back to performance, right? Why is it doing that? Is that expected? Is it optimized and you just have that much traffic? Or can you optimize something else and do that, reduce that scaling size?
Yeah.
So I could just see people getting lazy and, let's let it scale and have that N+1 query going on.
Yeah. I think it's also an analogy. Shout out to seeing your performer, Leandro, our colleague, who, you can love tacos and you can't, there is a point where you can eat too many tacos. But you can keep eating tacos and more tacos and more tacos. You still probably have to pay for the tacos. You might never reach the point where you really satisfy your taco cravings, but you're going to pay for every taco along the way.
Are you trying to get a Taco Bell sponsorship there, Mark?
No, I'm just actually kind of jonesing for tacos now. So, all right, maybe, yeah, exactly. So we have to get together with Leandro.
But I think this little bit here, right, just talks about way back in the beginning of the episode when we were talking about all these different inputs.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're going to have AI take care of the scaling, you'd also want AI to identify what's causing the need for the scaling, highlighting what in the code or whatever it might be that's consuming the most, which, we can already do from that point of view, and make sure we're bringing that to the people. So again, it comes back to all this interconnectivity and these models being fed, the AI part of the models being fed by multiple sources, so it can either through correlation or causation, thank you, take care of all this. And we're part of the way there, right? We have independent models for a lot of these things, and it's really those crossovers. And then, as you said, that trust, right? There's that trust level, so we don't end up in a war game situation, right, where the machine is suddenly launching nuclear bombs because it couldn't get down to half a second response time.
Yeah. And also, you've got this wonderful, totally flexible data lake model in Grail or wherever you do it. But in Grail, talking with Klaus, I've been learning so much about putting financial cost information, profit, revenue, whatever, putting that financial information, the cost of a transaction or the cost of a change. Let's say that, to me, those are inputs to exactly that model, Brian. Yeah. Like if you're not putting cost into the calculations that you're upscaling with and upon, like really successful companies, that's how they got there. You think of like the Cloud Foundry stuff that was like, we're going to be an abstraction layer, and then we factor in cost where we can get you compute units cheaper somewhere else, and I'll just move your workload over there. Kubernetes is a perfectly built, tailor-made built to do exactly that. I can go to the cheapest, most sustainable, most energy efficient, and most cost-effective and cost-efficient way to do that. And if you're still divorced, technology is divorced from cost or divorced from profits, and you're a digital company, wow, you've completely missed the last 10 years of what the whole industry has done, because it's so beneficial. Well, I no longer have to go to my CFO and say, well, I think these numbers look like this, and we really need, 1 million for this and whatever to upscale to pay for the, well, I guess. And then the worst one is the going and begging for forgiveness. We didn't know this change was going to cause this problem. This is your point, Brian. Like, wow, yeah, we put this out there and suddenly, so now we got a $150,000 bill, from so-and-so because we didn't know we were doing, we didn't think about it. And maybe AIs didn't think about it because we didn't ask AI, do this in a cost-effective way cost-effective. Right, I'll go back and rewrite the code. Thanks, sorry, you didn't mention cost. Still to this day, I think the last 25 years of my career don't get a divorce from the business if you're an engineer. Like, you have to stay in that relationship.
Hey, and this triggers me as one of my closing remarks here, or before I start the closing.
Triggers you in like a negative, anxious kind of way?
In a positive way.
Okay, good. Sorry.
In a positive way. Because I perform, I will be on stage with a guy from Dell and talking about platform engineering. And one of the things he hopefully will also say on main stage, because I will ask him kind of like some final advice on what allowed them to become efficient in what they've been doing. And he said, don't treat observability as a cost center, but treat it as a business opportunity and a business differentiator. So what you're just saying here is, right, observability is not something that, we do it after the fact, but we're using observability to observe performance, user experience, costs, efficiency. And then if you're using this data, it becomes actually a business differentiator. It is potentially there to save your business because you're making the right decisions on what to build, how to run it. And I think that's...
if you have this amazing data, when I think about old big data models of, well, once a year we get a report and then we predict what the market will do, and then we make our decisions, and then I go smoke a cigar for 6 months, and not the same cigar maybe, but you would go, you wouldn't get. Now I'm getting real-time data, and I can feed that back to my account teams, to my merchants. I can call up and say, hey, did you guys know, customer X, like your reputation as a company to your customer, that relationship is so much beneficial because you're just showing, I care. I'm tuned in. You paid for our services. We're going to give you more than you expected. I mean, that's how you grow a business, right? Is to just keep delivering that. And if your technology is not working for you to do that, you've just kind of been tuned out. Yeah, totally. I can get those numbers and calculate that and show you that. You don't have to wait for a month to get the month-end report from the big data thing with the Power BI thing that was, and then it takes another 3 months because the report was wrong, and then we have to put in the fix to the thing. No, I can just tweak the DQL and give it to you right there in a notebook. Sorry, look at me, Mr. Dynatrace savvy stuff. Actually, I'm really excited about the workflow stuff, to be honest. That on the Perform thing. Like I know some of the things that might be coming for workflows because there's so much we can do with that. And I'm totally psyched for where we're going to go with workflows in this point. Sorry.
Yeah.
Totally...
And also then with coming back to closer with CoPilot, right? Because Davis CoPilot, one of the things we're working on is so that not everybody has to become an expert in DQL or in creating dashboards or notebooks or workflows.
Yeah.
CoPilot will be able to at least create the best effort or a good starting point for you.
Yeah,
so that
Alois pointed that out. He posted something, I think, a demo on LinkedIn, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. I can go have a sandwich now. Let CoPilot write your stuff. You don't need me. You don't need me, Brian.
Mark, can we just admit that you're saying all this praise for Dynatrace because you're looking for some free DDUs?
No, I don't even want the license. You know what makes my world go? Golf balls for Daniel, who's one of my lead observability engineers, and swag. Like you guys send me swag and then it just goes into my company and people are like, can I get a sweatshirt? Can I get a t-shirt? So I'm honest to God, send me the swag. Can I just give it away at the company?
Your cheap date.
Yeah. All the way to the corner office. My president, CTO, he's like, oh, you know, that thing, that was great. It's really comfortable. I wear it all the time. I'm like, great.
So I just want to say, Andy, you talk about wrapping up, and we do have to wrap up, I guess. But you brought up Minority Report before, and so I'm a big Philip K. Dick fan,
which has an ethical message in that movie about the abuse of those kids. And but
also the core of that story is about free will, and the thing that pissed me off about the movie was the book. The ending of the book, there was no free will.
Yeah.
And the ending of the movie, there was free will. I'm like, it just changed the fundamental. Now, Philip K. Dick was a really down guy and pessimistic and all that, so that's why it ended that way. And I guess Hollywood wanted to give you hope. It was Spielberg and all that. But when they changed it, I was like, no, it's supposed to be, there is no free will. Anyhow.
No, exactly.
Fortunately, we have the free will to maybe put an end to this podcast or maybe even continue doing more podcasts in the future and to be building smart AI and helping everybody continually.
Yes.
Or are we programmed to do that?
So how many more episodes do I need to get on to be back in the lead of Pure Performance guests?
I lost track and count of all that. No, I know. But you're pretty high up there. I don't know if I don't know if anyone's been on more than you.
Who else would be? Gene Kim had a good run.
Yeah.
But
that'd be good. Kroger's, the guys from Kroger's were on quite a bit. But it's like Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin hosting Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Who's been on, the most.
Well, and since you got the white hair, you can be Steve Martin.
I could be, they both have white hair now, so.
Yeah, but
Yeah, exactly.
Steve is less baggage.
Yeah, but honestly, guys, seriously, 200 episodes is nothing to shake a stick at. So thank you for inviting me for 201. Did I say 2,000 episodes?
You said 200, I think.
200, good. Sorry, because it will be 2,000 soon enough, Brian.
That's going to take a long... Yeah, well, maybe if AI keeps us alive, we can get to 2,000.
Maybe if AI creates at some point some of our episodes, who knows?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. In fact, actually, dear listeners, this is not me talking. This is the robot. I am going to let you know a secret. We have 3 weeks left on this planet before it's all annihilated.
Exactly. Episode 62. From Perf Bytes, Bots has the robots in it. It's hilarious. One of my favorite episodes.
Sounds like you're talking about a Mythbusters thing. You remind me of Adam Savage a little bit with your joviality and your joy and all this stuff, Mark. So
I'm a jovial guy. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So if you could, we should mention as well, if this comes out honestly before Perform, people can tune into the virtual live stream and all the other stuff. If they're just podcasting and listening, and then they could also tune into the conference.
If I'm not mistaken, this should air on the 29th, which is the Monday where Hot Days start, so just 2 days before the main conference.
Really?
I think so, right? Because we have one more coming up on the 15th, which is the episode we recorded just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then this one should come out on the 29th, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's double check while we're here. But that's the day I earned my AARP membership.
There you go. So if this is the 29th and you're in Vegas, come over into the expo hall because Henrik and I will be hanging in.
No. This is not the 29th. That was the last episode, which will be the 29th. So this will be in February. So this will be post-perform.
Oh, really? So I could have talked about all the stuff that I already know about.
Well, we'll have to tell. Well, here's the thing. We'll have to tell people because they might have missed it the first time. We'll have to tell people to go, which we are doing right now because we are recording, obviously, is go back. If you missed the perform stuff, go back and watch it. So which ones are they specifically looking for then? They're looking for some of the main stages, right?
The main stages for sure. The tracing stuff, that's really cool. So unified tracing on Grail. And we got .NET traces on Grail, which is really awesome. So you can fetch spans and fetch spans with your request attributes from that trace. Request attributes still get ALR'd, but that's fine. We're going to move them into business events. And then the other thing is, I think it's the workflow announcements, the enhancements in the workflow model itself that are really cool. In fact, we're a Rundeck shop, and I've got Rundeck all over the place. But I've been a Rundeck enthusiast for a very long time. And the PagerDuty integration with Dynatrace has been around for a long time. In fact, we were on that tour in Australia and New Zealand, I think, with the PagerDuty guys, right, Andy? Mm-hmm. So the workflow part of that, we're actually plugging workflows, but everything for us has to run inside the firewall. So we want the ability to do that execution engine inside the firewall from an ActiveGate or from a workflow endpoint. And so that's really exciting stuff too. Anyway, go back and check those out. That's some really cool stuff. There's other announcements I don't know about, but those are the ones that are near and dear to us for sure.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you again for everything, for being our early day mentor, for pushing us towards the podcasting, for just being a performance and observability and tech enthusiast.
You have a knack for it, Brian.
For what?
For podcasting.
Oh,
come on.
Okay.
You're great at it.
Andy, I don't know, you got any final?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing Mark in real life again in Vegas. I'm sorry, Brian, that you won't be there, but we will celebrate your 50th remotely.
We'll FaceTime you.
I'll be smelling the subway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And most importantly, thank you for all of our listeners. I don't know if we have anyone listening from day one still with us here, but if we do, special thanks to you, but thanks to everyone who continues to listen. Obviously, we wouldn't be possible without you. So we appreciate all of you.
Technically, that's me, Brian.
Okay.
Like I have listened to all of the Pure Performances.
Every single one.
It's in my rotation. So I just I go through the list and it pops. I've listened, I think, to every single one.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Be more like Mark, everybody.
I might be the only one, but
yeah. Either way, thank you. Thank you to our listeners, and thanks for everyone who allows us to do this, and thanks for technology. It's crazy. Anyhow, bye-bye, everyone. We'll talk to you on episode 202.
202.
Oh, 201. That's the New York area code, too. That's what this one is. All right.
Wow.
We're now extending this way beyond. So bye, everybody. Sorry for wasting your time with this wrap-up. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.